Going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. We have a very exciting show for all of you today. It is the 16th of September here in 2021, 4:05 p.m. on the East Coast. And as always, joined alongside my co-host Gaven. Tony just got in just in time. How about that? And oh boy, he's got the Atlanta Braves hat on again. I don't know why. Maybe it's to hide the haircut. I like the haircut personally. I don't know if he's going to show it under there, but
it's all right.
Yes, Gaven, Tony back. We have, I think, one of the most exciting shows we have in a while. I'm really excited for this one. I think it's going to be a great show. Some special guests coming on here in just a few minutes. But first things first, Gaven and I had an opportunity today to grab a business lunch, I guess we'll call it, to preview some plans. And next week, at the very least, we'll find a point. We're going to be eating some spicy wings and anything else we can put the Inferno sauce that PJ Wellahan's on, or in my case, the pumpkin spice, which is a new special this month for September. Very, very fitting for the fall. So, yes, Gaven, good to be back with you. We're back. Very exciting show. Take it away.
Well, first of all, Zach, I just want to say something. I deserve an award for being able to make it, coming from wherever I come from, and still being able to make it right for showtime. Zach, that's like, the fifth time I've done it, where I came somewhere and made it right as we were starting. So, there's got to be a record at some point. And for ladies and gentlemen, I just want to put out there as a public service announcement. Zach never had the Doritos. The Doritos?
Spicy Dorito wings. That was a special. I don't know what month it was. I think it was July and August.
Zach, it was for 2 months. So you ran from it for 2 months. So this pumpkin spice is happening. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be eating Inferno wings. But Zach,
I think one was mango habanero, and I did not try that either. But either way, bottom line is we'll be back there. We also hit up some other wing places in town. My French onion soup adventures and joyride continues. So that's all exciting. But let's get to it. We have a lot to break down today. First things first, we want to bring on our special guest, Lily Seagraves, a good friend of the show. We've had her uncle on before, Matt Cord, to speak with us about his experience as a Sixers public address announcer. But today we get to have Lily on. Very excited to have you today. Thank you so much for coming on. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing good, Lil. First of all, I got to ask you, because it's been a long time since I got a chance to talk to you. You graduated high school. What's the feeling? What's the feeling of finally being done with actual K through 12 schooling? It's been a long time.
It feels good, actually. I passed high school. I had passed it already because I've moved on with my life, and I'm ready to move on.
Zach, we're ready to move on with our lives, and that's the best way to put it. It's a new step for everybody this year, but it's like, go ahead, Zach, take it away.
No doubt, I agree. And speaking of next steps, an organization in this city that has done a lot of that this offseason. We had a lot of turmoil in Philadelphia with the Eagles. I know, Gaven, we broke it down on Tuesday. We spoke a lot about that game. First of all, Lily, are you excited to have some Eagles football back? Is it nice to have a winning feeling, at least after a big win over the Atlanta Falcons here last week on Sunday?
Yeah, it does feel real great.
Yeah, great. I mean, look, it was a shocker for me. I was definitely not confident going into that game. But first thing I guess I'll ask you, Lily, about this game specifically is, how do you think Jalen Hurts looked versus, I know we had Carson Wentz for a long time, but Jalen Hurts, first game as the official starter of the Eagles overall, how'd you like how he looked?
I think he looked really good. He's like one of the, I guess, the best QB the best QB that we've had so far.
Yeah, strong start at the very least. I think that was certainly great. Gaven, any questions specifically here on the week one game for Lily?
Well, I just want to add on to what she said. She's not wrong. Jalen Hurts is a dual threat. He's becoming a passer. Like, that was the biggest question we had for him going into the season, how it looked. But he answered the door. I can't wait to see. Now, Lily, my question for you is, week one, we saw the Eagles defense start off a little bit slow and shaky. Now, coming into this week, do you think the Eagles defense is going to struggle, or do you think we're going to dominate at home?
I think we're going to dominate at home.
I like that.
I like it short and sweet. I mean, look, there's a lot to go on. I'm finally going to be there for the first time it's been almost 2 years since I've had a chance to be in my season ticket seats. Of course, went to the Eagles-Cowboys game last year. Maybe we'll get some live reporting from down in South Philly. We may have to find a way to go live. My phone can only handle so much. But I think that the tide is turning in Philadelphia. I don't want to admit it yet. It's only been 1 week. I don't want to get out here ahead of myself. But last year was really with the pandemic, of course, and in mixing that with just no fans at the stadiums. Fans really are the backbone, at the very least, of the NFL. We saw it with the NBA. We'll, of course, touch on the Sixers here in a little bit as well. But I think for the Eagles to have their first game with full capacity fans since that Seahawks playoff loss almost 2 years ago now. It's going to be a great feeling. I mean, I'll ask you about this. How excited on a scale of 1 to 10 having a full crowd at Lincoln Financial Field for an Eagles game?
Go ahead, Will.
I'm thinking a 10 on that one. I really do think we have a big shot at it, and yeah.
Zach, I can't disagree with her. She said 10. I'm going to agree with her. It just feels nice to have the roars and the energy of what any fan, whether you're the Eagles fan, Cowboys fan, or Giants fan, or anybody. It's just nice to hear everybody back at once and in the stadium. And Zach, I know you're going to be attendance, but I hope you don't lose your voice because we need it. We need it.
Look, if I lose my voice because they win, I don't have to use it yelling on the show on Tuesday next week. But if I lose it at the game and then have to yell, it's going to be a double negative. I'm not too happy about that. But we'll put that aside for a minute here. We'll talk about some of the keys to a win. I'll keep it pretty simple. Stop the run, jump out to an early lead. It's not easy to do against a really good team. But if you can get up 2 scores and you can force Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the ball, it's weird to say it, but for the first time in 4 or 5 years, I have a lot of faith in our pass defense. That includes the front four. It includes the secondary. It includes the safeties, the corners, of course. But the linebacking core is concerning. The running game is concerning. The Falcons had no problem running the ball early. The problem, they got down and were forced to throw the ball the rest of the game. That is the key for the Eagles to win any game this season. And look, a lot of injuries for the 49ers. It's been a pattern for a couple of years, similar to the Eagles a few years ago. And so for them, they just lost their starting running back, Raheem Mostert. They have a couple of guys they're going to be using this week. They're trying to figure it out. They're going to feed the hot hand. So the Eagles need to stop that. They're going to chew up drives. They're going to take 10, 11, 12 plays, 8 minutes off the clock, arguably. It's going to be a slow process. We know Kyle Shanahan, though. He can come back from being a deficit. He's not the best at keeping leads sometimes. I wouldn't count the Eagles out at any point in this game, but they got to show heart. Again, this is still a young team. My predictions in the past have been simple. This is going to be a young team that's going to lose a lot of close games to other good teams. Maybe they'll surprise us this week, but at the moment, I'm not predicting an Eagles win. Unfortunately, I am going to say 24-16. I think it's going to be a late touchdown the Eagles score to bring that score to be a little bit better to look at. The assumption is that the run game gets hot for San Fran. They can't stop it, unfortunately, and just the defense is a little too much for the Eagles. Now, how can they stop that again, jump out to an early lead, get the job done early? But either way, I'm excited to be there as a fan. We'll go Gaven, predictions for the game, and then we'll wrap it up with Lily.
Well, Zach, first of all, this is a back-to-back time where you predicted the Eagles to lose. And you're saying lose, right? If I just want to get this right. Well, Zach, I'm actually going with the Eagles win. As his comment says right here, the Niners struggled to overcome a team in the Lions. The Jared Goff and the defense that's atrocious. That's not as good. We are better than the Detroit Lions offensively, and I would say defensively. Zach, it's going to be a challenge this year this Sunday versus the 49ers due to the fact that they are considered a top 5 team in the NFL. I mean, Zach, we had a debate about it at lunch, but ultimately you can't ignore what they have done. But my eyes are on Jimmy Garoppolo. His job, his seat is a little bit hot. They're not struggling. They will put Trey Lance in a heartbeat. It only takes Jimmy Garoppolo one bad day. And his bad days are, Zach, they're 4 interceptions, 3 interceptions. They're horrific. They just lost Raheem Mostert. They don't have Jason Verrett no more due to injury. So I'm going to go 27-24, Jake Elliott with a game-winning field goal.
And so, Lily, some predictions as far as that game, get some scores and some other keys for an Eagles winner or potentially what could cause the Niners to win.
So basically, well, I definitely agree with Gavin about everything on that, what he said. I do believe and I agree with Gavin.
Certainly, I feel bad. I'm kind of the negative one here, but the Eagles have to get a little consistency. It's tough after the last few years to be able to stick through them. I love the team, obviously, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see how this rolls out. Both you predicting some wins for the Eagles, Gavin, a close game. I think it's gonna be close for sure. I don't know who's gonna win it, but San Fran right now sitting as a 3-point favorite. However, the last 2 matchups between the Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers, the Eagles have won 1 game in Santa Clara and 1 in Philadelphia. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit, sticking to the Eagles. But Lily, we want to ask you some questions directly now. just to start off, give us a little bit of an overview of some of the work that you do for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, so basically, I started with preseason. So I walked to the Pepsi Plaza, one of the entrance, like one of the gates. And so pretty much I'm just greeting people, showing them what the session is, and like just hyping everyone up too.
So Lily, I gotta ask you this question. Okay. Are you ready for Sunday? Because there's going to be Zach. I'm guessing it's going to be a max capacity Eagles fans.
It'll be full house, I can imagine.
It's going to be full house. Are you ready to greet everybody that comes through your gate?
I am ready.
They're all going to be rowdy, Lily. Are you sure?
I'm sure.
You better bring the energy. I can't wait to see it.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it so much. It's just nice to have football back, at least normal football. This is the first league last year during COVID that came out with a normal schedule. Of course, not so normal last year overall, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I really think it's going to be a great experience for everybody involved, and I'm hoping for, of course, an Eagles win. We'll be there early again, 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Are you hoping for? I mean, you predict us to lose, man.
I did predict a loss. I'm sorry about that. I want them to prove me wrong. It's not that I'm questioning anybody. It's just the fact that they're young, and when you're young, you don't know how to win yet. And if you get a comfortable lead and you blow a team out like they did last week, you're talented. So, I mean, that's my thought process. I'd be happy if they proved me wrong. I really would be.
You know, Lily, I got this. I got this question. I got this little scientific thing. Zach, I don't know the correct term for it. I wasn't good at science. Lily, every time Zach predicts the Eagles will lose, they win. So I'm gonna see if that meta stays with this weekend. Because Zach, if that's the case, I need you to predict us to lose every week. But let's see.
I can make a case for most of them.
Let's see. Lily, do you think that's true? You think whenever Zach picks against us, we win?
If he picks against us, we do win. Yes, we do win.
I guess we have my task here for the rest of the season. Well, coming up after this, another big game tonight. Division rivals Washington football team and New York Giants face off. Taylor Heineke against Daniel Jones. Who's going to win this game? Why it's important in this division? Predictions, picks, and more coming up after this. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome back here on the More Than Philly Sports Network. Zach Starr, Gaven, Tony, and guest Lily Seagraves today as we break down all there is in the sports world. Big game tonight, of course, the Washington football team dropping their first game of the season to the Los Angeles Chargers in Washington. New York Giants dropping their first game at home against the Denver Broncos. All teams that have been predicted to be better than the Eagles this year are 0-1 right now between these two teams. Why this matters, of course, for the Eagles, it's a divisional game. Eagles have looked to the top of the division very early right now. But bottom line is this. Either way tonight, I mean, one team's walking away with a win, one team's walking away with a loss, unless, of course, there's a tie. But right now, at this moment, I would say that Washington is a much bigger threat to the Eagles than anyone in this division with their defense. So if New York is able to escape with a win tonight, of course, it would be better overall. But it's still way too early in the season for anyone to be able to tell. So I will say this. I do think that Washington does win this game. I think they win this game 24-14, maybe 10. Is it wrong that I have no confidence in the Giants? Am I wrong that the only game they had last year where they actually beat a respectable opponent, which was the Seattle Seahawks, that Daniel Jones didn't play? Remember, Saquon Barkley didn't play most of last year either. And I like Saquon, former Nittany Lion. But at the moment, he has been struggling behind this offensive line. It's still very early. Denver is a pretty good defense. But Joe Judge may have lost his locker room already. I don't know if he has. But I don't know. Am I wrong to be so pessimistic on the Giants? Gavin, some thoughts there?
No, because Zach, Daniel Jones has more career turnovers than career games started. I mean, Daniel Jones and keeping the football in his possession is harder than me getting a great math grade in any test I do. It's like it's impossible. Okay, I can't do it. But no. Look, you're talking about a defense in Washington that came off the scene last year, and it was able to take turnovers and cause havoc. I mean, notice as a top 5 defense in the NFL. So, and you got a guy like Dan Jones who's always giving over the ball. Now, the Giants went out, spent money. They got Kenny Galladay and a few other pieces. But guess what, Zach? That doesn't matter when your quarterback can't hold on to the ball. Zach, I'm actually going with the Washington football team tonight due to the fact of Daniel Jones' lack of being able to turn on, keep the football in possession. I know he hasn't lost in Orlando with Maryland a lot, but Zach, that doesn't matter. Okay, that's a nice little mental stat for Giants fans to cling on to as they watch tonight. But Taylor Heineke is going to be the key for the Washington offense. And how good is Taylor Heineke going to be for Washington at the end of the day? Can he make the throws that he did when they needed him last week? Yeah, they fell short, which is a good Chargers team. But it's like I'm interested to see. I got 24-14 Washington.
All right, Willie, some thoughts on tonight's divisional opponents, Washington football team, New York Giants in Landover, Maryland.
So I do think that Chase Young is really good, especially on the field. Also, Daniel Jones may. I'm not going to say that. Also, do you guys know who the quarterback is of the Washington?
I think it's Taylor Heineke tonight.
I think Taylor Heineke is. I don't even know who their backup is. I'll have to find that out. But Taylor Heineke is getting the start tonight.
Okay, yeah, that's all I had off that one. And I just think Washington may win this one.
You got Washington, so it's 3 Washington for us.
Yeah,
we got everybody in agreement here. The Washington football team expected to win tonight. I think they will. I mean, I don't want to say I feel bad for John. I mean, Gavin? You said 2 years ago you felt bad for Knicks fans and they started getting good, and now you're starting to regret that. What team was that? Was it the Knicks you were talking about?
That was the Knicks. Like I felt bad for the Knicks fans too. The fact of the matter. I mean, you couldn't win. You couldn't win anything. Now I'm starting to feel bad for Giants fans because you're in the greatest city.
Well, I'm scared to say it. I don't know. Like, how are they going to win games? What is there to hold on to if you're a New York Giants fan right now? That defense looked terrible last week. That's number one. I like Saquon Barkley. He's a good player. We're all in agreement of that. But he hasn't looked so great so far this year. Again, coming up with a tough injury. But the O-line play is terrible. They flopped on Eric Flowers. They flopped on Andrew Thomas, which are offensive linemen they drafted. I don't want to say I'm feeling bad for Giants fans. I'm scared to say that if I'm being honest with you right now, Gavin and Lily. But at the same time, there's not much they're holding on to. How they think they're going to be good this year?
I'll tell you this. When you ask if I feel bad for Giants fans, the first Giants fan that comes into mind is our good friend Ryan Diarano.
We may have to get him on here after this game tonight.
You're sitting here telling me, do I feel bad? I really don't, because Giants fans have the greatest city in the United States. And Zach, we can go back and forth about it. You know, I'm a big New York fan. I love the city of New York and everything it comes with. But to have a team like that, I mean, you spend money on your offensive line. I mean, you spend money on your offense, and your offensive line can't block your quarterback. I mean, Zach, I don't feel bad for Giants fans. I never have, never will, and I don't think I would ever care in the future. It's if the world were to end today or tomorrow, right? And the only way for me to save the world is for me to care for a Giants fan and how they feel about their football team. Guess what, Zach? I guess the world's going to end because I would never care. I mean, this is the same team that complained about the Eagles tanking at the end of the game. Talk about, that's how you play football. If you guys can go to play so bad, 6-10 is not going to cut it. All right, last time I checked, the winner was 7-9. You couldn't do that. All you had to do is win a couple more games, and you would have been division leaders. I don't feel bad for Giants fans. I really don't. I do feel bad for Ryan Diarano, though, because I know him personally. So the Giants losing, I will call him.
Yeah, I mean, they spent money on Kenny Galladay. They got James Bradbury. There was a lot of promise last year, but Daniel Jones is not the answer. And I don't know if it's because of him or the O-line or the fact that they go through offensive coordinators like they're Dorito chips, I guess. I don't even know. Like they go through so many in the last few years, and it's kind of hard to get stability that way. Baker Mayfield had a similar start to his career where his O-line play was bad. Everybody was blaming him. He had a couple of different coaches and OCs. A year and a half of stability, and they were a good team last year, and they won They won against their divisional rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the playoffs and lost a close game to the Chiefs. So maybe that's the kind of story that they need in New York. But it's been the same story for how many years now are we talking about? How many years since that infamous picture of Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, and the guys on that boat before they got blown out 31-13 in that game in Lambeau Field? Since then, they've been through 4 coaches, including 2 intermittent coaches. They're on their next quarterback, which is kind of impressive. They haven't went through any others yet, but it's just frustrating. And the reason it's frustrating is if the Eagles do end up having a good season, I mean, the Eagles just went from quarterback controversy, a fired coach, a losing season, 4 wins to be specific, which is horrendous, and they turned that around and made themselves a good team in a year. That's what good franchises do. The New England Patriots are going to make the playoffs this year. That's what good franchises do. They turn around quickly. The Miami Dolphins were the laughingstock of the league 2 years ago. They went 10-6 last year. They missed the playoffs barely, but this year they're also looking like they're going to be a good competitive team. That's what good franchises, that's what good football players, that's what good teams overall do, which must mean that the New York Giants are not a good franchise and not a good football team.
Well, real quick before I ask my question for Lily, I just want to say this: when you're talking about the team like the New York Football Giants, and you just talk about everything that goes on, yes, Zach, Baker Mayfield did have to adjust to all the changes and everything. All right, Baker Mayfield has, arguably, you could say, as great as much talent, if not even a little bit better in his offense than the Giants do. But the answer if Daniel Jones is that guy, well, Zach, I'm here to tell you he's not that guy. All right, he's far from that guy, pal. He's nowhere near. Because, Zach, it goes back to turnovers. It goes back to keeping the football in your possession. You and the football you just can't hold on to it.
You can't turn it over. You can't turn it over and win. 30 turnovers and 18 career starts.
That's terrible. Now, real quick, Lily, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
When you talk about the New York Giants and you think of guys like Saquon Barkley and you saw the injury that happened to him last year, what is one thing that you think that he needs to do to get back to his rookie year? So
I just think that he could be. I just think I want him to be much better than the last time. It's just this time I really want him to up his game.
up his game is indeed. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're running behind that ferocious offensive line, up his game is he has up not only his but everybody else's. Zach, I'll ask you the same question as well. I mean, this is a superstar in the backfield that's not playing like it right now.
I think a couple factors are going to be in that. Number one, last year he played against some really good defenses the first few weeks before he tore his ACL, Steelers specifically, and he just couldn't get around them. There were guys everywhere. So it could be that they were playing good teams that were just simply put overpowering them. And we see this all the time. Gavin, what's my number one thing about running backs?
Don't pay them.
Exactly. They're as much as they're people and they deserve money and they earn it, I think that a lot of running backs are replaceable. And there are guys like Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, who are a lot of your offense. But at the same time, when they go down, you have to be able to replace them. And last year, the Giants, I mean, they had Deion Lewis in that backfield. I forget who else they had. I think they signed Devontae Freeman at one point, who got hurt in that Eagles game when Daniel Jones tripped and fell on Thursday Night Football last year. But for Saquon Barkley to up his game, I need to see it closer tonight. I need to see his O-line improve. I think that recovering from a knee, I think number one is rehab. He has to fully recover from his knee injury, get back to building the quads up and being able to make sure he's strong and able to be out there, be durable, be strong, make good decisions, sharp cuts. We saw it his rookie season. And so tonight I'll be watching closely. How good does the offensive line do at making holes for Saquon Barkley? Is it the O-line? Is it him? We're going to find out tonight in more detail. But I don't know. This is a tricky situation. And Barkley in year 3 trying to make some noise, trying to help this Giants offense, which needs it a lot right now. And they have wide receivers that are good. I like Sterling Shepard. He's not a wide receiver one, but he's good. Darius Slayton is a good guy downfield. And, of course, they just assigned Kenny Galladay in the offseason, a big conversation piece. So those are my keys, I'd say, for Saquon Barkley to have a bounce-back season here.
No doubt. Listen, it really relies on the offensive line and the teams they play against. I do think Saquon Barkley will show himself. He might be 1,000-yard rusher. 17-game season. He didn't have a fair start on week 1, but let's see if we can turn it up. I'm excited to watch. We all root for Saquon Barkley. Penn State fans here. I know whether you're a big Penn State fan, so we all root for Saquon Barkley. Zach, I don't know. It's going to be a lot for him. It's going to be a lot.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, again, tonight, Washington football team hosts the New York Giants on NFL Network and Fox at 8:10. That game live from Landover, Maryland. Let's shift gears now, sticking to the sport of football. Gavin kind of prefaced it there, talking about the Penn State Nittany Lions, currently ranked 10 in the Associated Press's top 25. They go up against the 22-ranked Auburn Tigers this weekend in Happy Valley. Whiteout. College Game Day is their 6th year straight, only team in college football to have College Game Day every year there. I mean, this is their biggest game, I'd say, since the Minnesota game a few years ago that they ended up dropping after being in 4 in the AP rank. Sean Clifford's biggest game, I'd say, as a starter here for this team. Wisconsin was a big game. They handled that. Last week, Ball State, they were able to get it done. They didn't run away with it as a blowout, but they still won by a very big margin and covered their line substantially. So let's talk about it. Big Ten, SEC, it's not pretty for the Big Ten in history. I was not high on Penn State going into the season, given what they did last year, but Wisconsin game, they were impressive defensively. And then Ball State, they were good. But their offense has yet to show me anything that makes me believe they can be a reliable team. It's going to be a good game. It's not going to be in anyone's direction of blowout. I mean, Auburn just beat the tail off of Alabama State last week. I mean, they absolutely obliterated them. And so how much better is Ball State than Alabama State? I mean, Ball State won the MAC last year, so they're a better team. But it's going to be a close game. I've already bet against the Eagles, so I kind of feel bad picking against Penn State. I'll go with Penn State. I'm going to say 31-28. Jake Pinnaker hits a game-winning field goal, if that's even who's kicking for them. I don't even know at this point.
Is that his name?
I think he's only may have missed a few, but he's their longer kicker, so maybe it'll be him.
Okay. Go ahead, Lily.
All right, so I do think that Penn State is really good this year. It was a huge win against Wisconsin and a huge win against Ball State. It was like insane. It was like brilliant.
So you're not wrong. That Wisconsin game set the tone for Penn State, and then obviously you had the next week where it was Ball State or whatever the team name is. Zach, it doesn't matter.
MAC champions, Mid-Atlantic Conference champions. Don't disrespect them.
MAC. It sounds like
Ball
MAC.
State Cardinals, maybe.
Ball State. That doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense.
I think they're Cardinals. Hold on, Ball State. Ball State Cardinals football. I was right. They're playing Wyoming. They beat every other team. I mean, they win every other game, but
my point I'm making here is
Mid-American. Sorry, not Mid-Atlantic. Mid-American Conference, the MAC, being the MAC champions there last year. But anything else here on the Penn State game before we transition over to the other hot button topic in Philadelphia in the Wells Fargo Center?
Yeah, real quick, Zach. I'll just make it short and sweet. SEC versus the Big Ten, Zach. We have subtle differences about which side of college football holds more weight. Obviously, the SEC. Auburn being a team that is highly competitive, goes against Alabama every year, and all those teams. Zach, I got roll with Auburn this week. I don't like. I'm not a firm believer in Clifford still. Zach, you couldn't beat Minnesota when the time was needed. You have a chance now to make up for history, but this is one of the hardest teams in the SEC, or one of the most underrated teams in the SEC. Zach, I'm rolling Auburn.
All right, we'll see how it goes. Split there on that decision. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a good game either way. I mean, if Penn State does end up losing this game and they keep it close, they're still in contention for the Rose Bowl. They're still in contention for the New Year's Six Bowls, which they got 2 years ago. College football is interesting, but yes, a loss would take them out of the playoffs at this point. I'm a firm believer in that. Ohio State is already pretty much out of the playoffs unless Oregon continues to go on a run. But again, it's still very early in the year, only 3 weeks in. But coming up finally, last but not least, the Philadelphia 76ers. The big conversation is Ben Simmons. It's been tilted every which way direction this offseason. And at this point, it looks like that Ben Simmons, at least to start the season, will be a 76er. It could be similar to the Deshaun Watson situation where he is rostered but not playing, might not even be with the team. Who knows? It could be like the Anthony Davis situation a few years ago where he's making up some injuries or he's just getting minutes restrictions and things like that. I don't know what direction this is going, but I will say this. At the moment, I don't see any trade that works out that improves this team unless it involves Damian Lillard or a guy like Buddy Hield or De'Aaron Fox alongside another good guard. I saw a trade a few days ago that was for DeJounte Murray, and I forget the guard. I'm going to look it up while we're discussing it. Yes, it was that. It was a 3-team trade between the Spurs, Blazers, and Sixers. That's the only other trade I would accept. And look, I know Ben Simmons' trade value isn't as high as it could be, but we are talking about some insanely good players here. Ben Simmons is the best defender in the league. He is arrogant sometimes offensively. He doesn't, for some reason, want to shoot the ball. I don't want to attack him personally. I don't know him. Aaron Rodgers, of course, we discussed that in detail on Tuesday with his situation and his personality. With Ben Simmons, he's not the superstar of the team that is Joel Embiid, but this guy is still a top-tier basketball player all in all. We can't forget that. And I mean, if Danny Green never goes down in that series against Atlanta, I do think that we win that series. When things are cruising, when things are going well, everyone's happy in Philadelphia. It's when you have this turmoil. It looks like Ben Simmons very clearly doesn't want to be here. But at the moment, the Sixers do not plan on moving him unless they can get that top-tier talent in return. They don't want draft picks. They don't want futures. They don't want pick swaps. They want talent, and they want it now.
Go ahead, Lily. I'm going to let you go because I got a strong opinion on this.
Okay. So if we had Ben Simmons, I just do think if we kept him, if we left him, Ben Simmons would be making those free shots. But like, if he's missing them, I don't know how to put this, but I just think his foul shots should get better though. His like free shots should get better.
You would hope. And Lily, I say you would hope because I have the stats over here. See, Zach, here's my problem. Zach and Lily, here's my problem. The man is upset for what? How are you mad at something that you did? And what I mean by that is, Zach and Lily, I'll go into detail. You're not getting better. You are pretty much, Zach, you know what he does, Zach and Lily, and you guys are on Instagram, so you know what I'm talking about. He goes every summer, he puts up this highlight tape of him shooting the 3-ball and him doing running floaters and mid-range shots and spinning, Zach, the spinning, what is it, the spinning hook, not the spinning, the post fade.
The running hooks, there's something like that.
He does all this stuff, and then when he goes into the game, when he goes into the season, he does absolutely nothing. He does the same thing over and over and over again. So why should I really be sitting here talking about Ben Simmons and what everything? Ben Simmons is just being a laughing stock to himself right now because of the fact of the matter is, what happened to you? You did it. Doc Rivers, Zach, we talked about this at lunch today. Lily, I know you wasn't here there, but I'll tell you. Me and Zach said, when we were eating wings, we said that Doc Rivers didn't put any expectation on Ben Simmons. He said he wants him to do whatever Ben does. Ben do whatever. He failed to do that in the playoffs. He like to show himself. And then Zach, when the Sixers fans get on him, especially when it was easy to see, you know, Zach, I know we're not the talk show, the Texans character or person or anything, and that's not. But I will say this: you're soft, Ben Simmons. You're soft. You can't take a criticism. You're soft. We, the fans, the paying customers, the viewers that help you got the contract that I don't know if you rightly deserve it now. Zach, I mean, who knows? You can't take criticism from us. I mean, Zach, in the year 2017, he played 81 games, 15 points. 2018, 16 points. And that 2017 was rookie year, by the way. 2019, 16 points. 2020 was a major drop off with 14.3 points per game. Really? And you want me to sit here and say, oh, well, you know, Ben Simmons, we you know, Zach, I don't feel bad for Ben Simmons. And he's soft. He's a soft basketball player that refuses to get better, and he doesn't want to take responsibility and want to improve. He is the reason why the Sixers didn't go nowhere this year. He's the reason why the Sixers arguably were showed themselves the first run, even though it was a newer team and they didn't have the right pieces. But Zach, you look at Joel Embiid, he had his best year ever here. Lily, Joel Embiid should have been MVP, correct?
Correct. Yeah, great.
And you just wasted that year because you were number one in the East. You had arguably an MVP candidate. Zach, we go back and forth about it all the time. You had one of the best supporting cast. Bench was a little iffy. And because you couldn't perform, when you put that number 25 jersey on, you couldn't perform. It's the Sixers' fault, but not yourself. That's just soft. If you don't want to be here, fine. Don't be here. But guess what? No one's going to take that too. Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, when they call you soft, they're correct. They're correct. Now, Zach, I was on a record defending Ben Simmons for the longest time after the Atlanta series. I wasn't really too happy about him or happy with him. But, Zach, I went back to defending Ben Simmons. But guess what? I don't care about defense no more. I really don't. I really don't, because the defensive capability of Matisse Thybulle was only getting better. All right, the new guy they got seems to be doing the same exact thing that Ben can do, maybe not height-wise. So, Zach, my thinking is this. Who in the right mind cares about what Ben Simmons thinks right now? Because I really don't. I really don't. Literally, literally, look at you go to a lot of Sixers games. How many times have we seen Ben Simmons have go ahead.
Okay, we see him a billion times. It's like it's just disrespectful. It's disrespectful. It's like he disappointed everyone in Philly. I'm like okay, this is really got to go forward. If he's not going to do that, then it's going to be a disappointment for Philly.
Exactly, a disappointment for Philly. It has to go forward. She's not wrong. It is time and time again. It's the same story. And I'm getting sick of it. I really am.
It's such deja vu. It really is at this point.
If you can't handle criticism, ladies and gentlemen, and this goes for everybody, whether you're an athlete or a degree of a college student or a high school student, if you can't handle criticism, you're not going to do much. If your supporting cast babies you into thinking that what you're doing is good enough now, but won't look at the bigger picture, my friend, you're the problem. You're the problem. Zach, I'll leave it there.
5 years, $177.2 million. He's owed $33 million this season. The Eagles are paying Carson Wentz $36 million this year. The Sixers are paying Ben Simmons $33, both of which who either currently don't play for this team or don't intend on playing for them. This is a story that will continue to develop. You can't waste Joel Embiid's prime. Daryl Morey's got to figure out something to do. It's a mess, but something's got to be figured out because Brooklyn's only getting stronger. The Lakers are strong. We'll wrap up today by saying this to both of you. I know it's still very early, but favorite to come out of the East, favorite to come out of the West. We'll start with Gavin, go to Lily, and I'll wrap it up.
I got Brooklyn coming out the East. Zach, call them what you want. Injuries, the ISO Kings, ISO Squad, whatever. Those three bad brothers on the team, and they're getting better. And the rookie they just got from, I forget the school, I think LSU, correct me if I'm wrong. He's a monster. And out of the West, I want to go, I'm going to go Lakers out of the West right now.
All right, Willie, East and West, who do you have coming out of both conferences?
Okay, for the West, I def think the Lakers. I go with the Lakers on the West, but on the East, I'm gonna switch it up a notch. I'm gonna go Brooklyn too. I'm gonna go both, but Lakers and Brooklyn because not my favorite player, but one of the best. Like KD is so good. Like Kevin Durant is really good. He is phenomenal out on the court, and especially with LeBron, he can shoot. He's I guess he's one of the best players on the Lakers on the court, and I do think that LeBron is he's moving things up, which is great. He's amazing out there.
Well, Lily, real quick, let me ask you this question. Sorry to cut you off, Zach, and then you can go. Who do you think the greatest basketball player of all time is?
From all time, right now I gotta say is right now I do think it's kind of hard to decide between all good players, but I really do think right now it's gonna have to go Steph
Curry.
Yeah.
Steph Curry. All right. That's another team to keep an eye on. I mean, there's a lot of good teams this year. I would say I'm going to agree with both of you. Brooklyn and LA, the Lakers, both teams have the best rosters in their conferences. Of course, injuries, a lot of things factor in. But 2-3 teams I'd say to keep an eye out for in the West, the Denver Nuggets. Keep an eye on them coming with Jamal Murray getting healthy. They just re-signed Aaron Gordon. Keep an eye on that team to see if they can make it work. And the Golden State Warriors, another team to keep an eye on. We know what they can do when they have both their shooters in the lineup. But another team that I think will be in the Eastern Conference Finals this year and will put a very good test up against the Brooklyn Nets, the Miami Heat. I 100% think the Miami Heat will be a top three seed and will make it to the conference final. We know what Jimmy Butler brings to the table. He is one of those it players. Gavin, we talked about before, you can sense if a guy has what it takes to get over the top. Jimmy Butler has that mentality. He's got Bam Adebayo, who took a step back last year, but they should be better this year. Victor Oladipo is going to be there this year. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson on the bench. They just signed, PJ Tucker from the Milwaukee Bucks this year, who was a key piece of that team. And they just brought in Kyle Lowry. Yes, Lowry is up there in age. He's not the best in the playoffs, but he doesn't need to be. He has Jimmy Butler. He's got all these other guys. He just has to do his job. And finally, Eric Spoelstra knows how to win a championship. Pat Riley in that front office, they might make some moves at the deadline. So keep an eye on Vice City. Keep an eye on Miami. That is the team that I currently have competing the most with Brooklyn. Milwaukee's going to stay good, but I think they're going to take a step back. Philly, obviously, right now is not in a position where we can really make a move. But those are my top 4 teams in no specific order, and Miami being in the conference final, giving Brooklyn a run for their money.
What's like? I want to add on that real quick. You know they're getting Victor Oladipo back too, right?
Yeah, I said that. Victor Oladipo. Starting lineup's going to probably be Kyle Lowry, maybe Oladipo. They might start the year with Hero starting at the 2. But the ideal, the championship lineup would probably be Lowry, Oladipo, Butler, Tucker, Adebayo. And then you have the bench as well. That's a really good team. And you just look out for them. That's all I have to say.
You can't ignore Atlanta either, Zach. You can't. And as much as I clown the New York Knicks, you can't ignore them either.
No, I think Atlanta, the Knicks are going to be in it. Celtics are going to be in that conversation as well. They have Marcus Smart, I guess, starting at point guard. They brought in Josh Richardson. They got a lot going on for them there as well. So I do definitely want to stick with this and say that at the moment, I would definitely say that Miami's the most likely team to compete and give Brooklyn a run for their money.
Do we have time for one quick question, Zach? Because I know you have to run. MVP, or way too early MVP predictions. Lily, let's go with you. Who do you have winning the NBA and the way too early NBA MVP?
I'd just like to see Jimmy Butler do it.
Zach, who do you have?
I'm going to go with your guy, Steph Curry.
You're going my guy. You know who I'm rolling with, Zach? I'm rolling with Jason Tatum. I like what I see.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, listen, this has been a really fun show. Broke down everything, Eagles, Penn State, talking about tonight's Thursday night football game, and wrapped it up all things basketball. Lily, you are welcome back anytime. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. Maybe I'll see you Sunday helping and greeting some people as they get into the game. It's going to be fun. Jam-packed stadium, of course. Hoping for an Eagles win. Thank you, everybody, for watching us today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next time.
Have a good one, everybody. Thank you, Lily.
Yeah, you're welcome. See you, man.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos. Again, thanks for watching.